I was living in Durham, North Carolina, and I had gotten my apartment fumigated. And this man, came into my apartment and was, spraying because it was starting to become spring, and you see a few more critters here and there. And before he left, he looked at me, a white man. He looked at me directly in my eyes, and then he saw a pair of my shoes on the floor. He kicked my shoes and then just continued to step, 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 and crunch on my shoes.
Jumbo, good people, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Returnee series. In case you're new here, kindly consider subscribing and tap the bell for notification so that you are always getting notified whenever we are posting. So today we're going to be hosting some amazing lady who has repatriated to Tanzania, and we are also going to learn more about, a lot of times we get this question, how safe is it for ladies to live or to relocate or to travel across the continent? And who else would you host for this apart from our guest, Tiffany? Without further ado, let's welcome our guest.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love that intro. You are so good at this, girl. Give me your pointers.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really well. It's warm here. It feels good. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. It's a little bit chilly here. Nairobi is not as warm as it is in Dar es Salaam.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Yeah.
So introduce yourself for those who don't know. Tell us who you are and where you are from and where you are currently.
Yes, of course. Thank you. My name is Tiffany Okafor, and I am from Nashville, North Carolina. That's where I was raised. Small town in Eastern North Carolina. And I'm in Dar es Salaam now. I am a certified life and success coach and also the author of a best-selling book entitled Bitchy. And I'm happy to be here.
Oh, great. Why Tanzania?
Tanzania for a few reasons. The first reason I would say is because during the thick of the coronavirus, this was one of the only countries that you could come to at that particular time that I came here where you didn't have to take a COVID test. That's something I was very paranoid about, and I'd seen videos of them sticking the long Q-tip all the way down your nose, and I did not want to do that at all. And another reason, as I've gotten here and really gotten to learn the language, learn the people, is just because this is a very peaceful country overall. The vibe here is super, super chill. And this is really just teaching me a whole lot of lessons that I really need to learn, So it's just the perfect place for me to be right now. And I feel for long term, unless something changes,
Have you been to any other African countries besides Tanzania? And did you just make the decision during this time when there was coronavirus, or you always knew that you would go to Tanzania?
No, I didn't. This is my first time in the continent, and this is my first country that I visited here is Tanzania. But no, I did not know that I was going to be coming here first. I knew that I would be relocating outside of the United States. This is something that I had been feeling for a while. I didn't know where specifically it would be. And then around the time that I started to plan, Tanzania seemed like the best option for me at the time from the amount of research that I had done. So yeah, this is my first stop, and I love it here so far.
Awesome. And how long have you been in Tanzania?
I've been here for 3 months because I got here at the beginning of July.
That's really great. For someone to, first time on the continent, a lot of people are afraid, especially those ones who've never been to the
Mhm.
continent. You are a lady
Mhm.
traveling for the first time to the continent. Did you feel safe? Did you have any safety concerns?
Me, I didn't have any safety concerns. In fact, and it's interesting to me because people have been asking me questions about safety a lot lately on my YouTube channel, and I didn't ever necessarily feel safe when I was in the United States. So I wasn't afraid to go somewhere else, and I felt confident that I would feel safe here, and I indeed do. Before I even left the United States, I was living in Durham, North Carolina, and I had gotten my apartment fumigated, and this man, came into my apartment and was, spraying because it was starting to become spring, and you see a little few more critters here and there, and before he left, he looked at me, a white man. He looked at me directly in my eyes, and then he saw a pair of my shoes on the floor. He kicked my shoes and then just continued to step, 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 and crunch on my shoes. And then he just left. So things like that, something like that can happen where a person comes to fumigate my apartment, and for whatever reason, he thinks that it's okay to, step on my shoes and look at me in this super evil way and do whatever he pleases and leave my home. And for me to know that, what was I going to say? It's not like I can call the police and tell them, oh, this white man stepped on my shoes. Or it's not like I can call even the apartment manager and tell them, oh, this white man stepped on my shoes. Who would have been there to as my protection? Who would have been there as my protection had this man decided that he wanted to do more than just crunch and step on my shoes? That's how I felt when I was in the United States. From the time that I was young all the way up through the time that I left, there was never any guarantee of safety, period. And one thing that I knew and felt very confident in is that same type of thing would not happen here. So I felt and I knew that I would feel safer once I got here. And since I've been here, that's only been confirmed for me over and over and over again.
Oh wow, that must have been scary. But how was your first impression when you got to the continent, Tanzania to
Mhm.
be specific? Is
Yeah.
it what you expected?
That's a great question. And again, you're good at this. This is something that I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations of what it would be like. And I'm glad that I didn't, because I feel that because of my only expectation was that I would feel safe. So everything else felt like cherry on top for me. When I first got here, I remember like coming through the airport and just how warm it was nice, but also that nobody around really was wearing masks besides all of us who had just got off the plane because we had to wear a mask to fly. Everybody was just talking to each other, like everything was normal. And it was so odd because I had just been quarantined for like 4 months in the home alone where everybody was afraid to be together. So seeing people being in their natural state was just like, oh, I can be human again. That's how I felt when I got off the plane, when I got to the airport. Like, I can be myself again. That was my first impression. And then I felt like I just kind of blended in because, before I speak, nobody knows. You look at me, girl. Nobody knows that. You know, nobody knows that I'm not from here. So I just like slid right in as soon as I got here, and it just felt really nice to be sort of welcomed by every single person that I met. Because I'm not fluent in Swahili, but I know how to say "Najifunza Kiswahili," and I let people know that I'm learning, that I'm from America, and everybody's just been like really, really super warm. So it's beautiful.
Oh, great. So, did you ever think growing up that at a certain point you'd move to the continent? You knew you'd move out of the US, but
Mhm.
at any point, like, I would want to know what time you came to the realization, like, now I'm done with the US, I'm leaving.
Yeah. It really, honestly, it wasn't until 2019 for me. It was in the fall of 2019 when I really first had the idea because I had been talking with one of my sisters, like, I know I had lived in a few different states in the United States. Just, I feel like overall trying to find a place that felt more like home to me. And I had lived in North Carolina. I was born in Atlanta, lived in DC, New York, LA, and none of those places I ever felt like, this is where I'm going to be forever. And I moved to all those cities, really enjoyed them, but I knew, and I remember telling my sister this, like, I don't know, in the early 2000s, that I knew that if I didn't live in any of those cities in the United States, I just wasn't going to live in the United States, period. I knew that. But it wasn't until last year that I first got the hint, the idea, the call, whatever you want to call it, that was like, maybe I should move to Africa. And at first I was like, can I handle that? Because I don't even know what it's like. From the images that they show of the continent on TV in the United States, it doesn't seem like a place that we should go, how they portray it. And so I just started doing a little bit of research, started following a lot of YouTubers who were living in different countries and still sort of like munching on it, like still considering the idea. But it wasn't until the beginning of this year that I was like, okay, I got to get out of here because things are really weird. Things are too weird. And it's really, really time to go right now. And I felt a sense of urgency about it that I still can't really explain to this day. But I definitely felt like you got to go and you got to go now. And I'm glad I did. Woo, glad I did.
So what happened last year that actually made you, like, you came to that realization? Was it just sudden, or there's something that happened that triggered it?
There was nothing that happened that triggered it. That's why I feel like I can't explain it because it literally was just like an idea. I feel like all ideas are like this in general. When I get any sort of creative idea, it sort of just drops into my mind. And then I go, that's how it was. It was like, yo, you should move to Africa. And I was like, should I move to Africa? I'm gonna look into this, and that's how I tend to do with all ideas that come to me. When it drops into my mind, I just look into it, and then it wouldn't leave my mind after I start looking into it. And so here I am, here I be, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So, how is the social life in Tanzania, especially? Okay, let's just talk about the social life first before we go to other aspects. I would love to get to understand different aspects of life in Tanzania. So, how's the social life?
The social life, I would say, is amazing, really. And that's just because like the people are so warm. The people who are born here are so warm. But also, like, what's really interesting is that it seems like it's almost like a new breed of African American that I meet when I'm here. The people who I meet here who are from the United States are like more willing to connect and build and work on projects more so than I didn't experience that a whole lot when I was in the United States, is what I'm trying to say. And that has been something that has been completely refreshing. And there are like so many of us here. And everybody is just like willing to hang out, wants to build, wants to work on things, wants to collaborate. And it's just like, it's really, really beautiful. So it's so easy. Like socially for me, honestly, I've always been like the planner. I'm going to organize the party, the outings, the this, the that. But since I've gotten here, there's literally always somebody, no, not almost, every single day, there is at least 1 to 2 people who hit me up and they're like, hey girl, what are you doing? You want to go to the beach? You want to go do this? You want to go do that? Literally every day. So I don't even have to plan like my social life. All I have to do is wake up and work and then make sure I set aside some free time because somebody is going to call me and want to hang out and want to do things. And that is like the most beautiful thing that I've ever experienced. And it's not jealousy. It's not any of that. I'm really connecting with, and let me be clear, there are people that I've met that I don't vibe with, but overall, there are so many people here who I really connect and really vibe with and who we hang out, we have a great time, and it's just always fun.
Hmm. That's awesome. So when you talk about African Americans, do you also relate with the locals? Have you met Tanzanian friends?
Yes, actually, before I even got here, I connected with this guy that I had seen on Traveling Sisters channel, and I was like, "Hey, like, can you, I know she's in Arusha, you're in Dar, can you give me information?" And like, he met me at the airport, and I ended up staying with him and his friends for a while, which was actually one of the best experiences that I had to, stay in a home of someone who is from here. Shortly after I got here, maybe the second or third week, I stayed there for about a week, and it really gave me clear perspective into what their experience was like, because we spoke so much every day. There were always like new friends coming over to his house, and this is like a guy, like four guys who lived like in a 2-bedroom apartment, who all moved into that 1 bedroom to allow me as the one woman to stay in the other bedroom. First of all, let's talk about that. That's like never ever happened before for me. They just really welcomed me and really treated me like a sister in every way. And it was just like the most beautiful experience ever. So from them, they started teaching me Swahili, because not all of them spoke any English. I think only two of them spoke some English. So they taught me like a lot of Swahili, like every single day. They were like drilling me, And from there, I just continued to meet more people, because what I knew is that, like, if I'm going to be living in Tanzania, then I need to get to know Tanzanians. These are going to be the people who are going to help me the most and really give me a better perspective of what it's like to live here, give me the best tips, the best advice. And that's been what's happening. Even the people who helped me to get this apartment, I met a guy who lives in this neighborhood and who grew up in this neighborhood, and he's still one of my closest friends here to this day, always helping me out with things. He helped me out the first time the power went out, like, showed me like what to do to make sure that my food wouldn't like spoil so fast, and like, show me what to do to make sure that like I don't attract bugs in the trash, like all these kind of things that I just didn't know needed to be done in a climate that is this warm, where nature is just out here running free. He really helps me, you know what I mean, to understand things, and still helps me to this day. So it's really like the Tanzanian people who have been giving me the things that are most important for me in order for me to be here, be happy, and really understand like what it means to live here and to be at peace here. Those are the people that have helped me with that the most, the Tanzanians, for sure.
Oh, great. And do you miss anything about the US?
I mean, I miss my family, like my blood family, because I'm the only one that is here in Tanzania. So I miss them. But we have technology, so I get to talk to them through WhatsApp, video chat with them through WhatsApp, and I feel like I get to see them. But what I think the thing that I miss the most is probably certain snacks that I used to eat that I can't find here. One thing is called sun butter. It's just sunflower seed butter. I know that is so random, but I miss that because I used to eat it almost every morning, and I don't have it now. But other than that, I don't, because there's so much here that I didn't have when I was in the United States, and I feel like I just feel like I have so much more here. So if I can't have sun butter, that's okay, because I have so much more here. Yes.
So you are a single lady. So I would
Yeah.
love to understand, how is the dating scene? How is it for a single lady
Hmm.
moving to Tanzania?
It is, I think it's whatever you make of it, right? So for me, as a single lady living here, what I will say is that there are options everywhere. That's what I want to say. There are options for men everywhere. When I first got here, man, there was so many men that I was meeting, and that was a part of my difficulty when I was interacting with some, not all, but some of the Dalalis here. Some of them were so like they were more interested in me becoming their wife than they were finding me somewhere to live, which was a problem for me, a huge problem. So I dealt with that for a while. Just a lot of men just like coming on super strong. But one thing I do like about that is, in the United States, like there's this thing that's like sort of like dating game where, if a guy likes you, then he's gonna pretend that he doesn't like you more. Like all of that. That's like not even existing here. That's how I feel. Because if a man is interested in you here, you will know. You will not have to guess. He's gonna let you know. And if you give him your number, you better be ready to answer them texts, them phone calls, all of that. It's like so direct. So as a single woman, if you let people know that you are single, or if they ask you and you tell the truth, trust me, you're gonna have a whole lot of prospects. And if you want to be married, I'm pretty sure you can. That can happen for you fast, because there are a lot of very attractive single men here. So, I mean, they're African men, they're Tanzanian men, they're gorgeous. So, yeah, it's there's a lot of prospects here. That's what I can say for single women who are thinking about moving here.
Random question. Which is your favorite Tanzanian food?
Oh, I ate so much food when I first got here. I was eating everything, even things that I don't normally eat. I was eating. But I would probably say I like having like some any kind of makange. I don't eat it now because right now I've transitioned back into like a plant-based diet. But like I said, when I first got here, I was eating everything because everything was way more delicious than it was in the United States. And the thing that I used to eat a lot was like just some either pork or beef makange and some ugali. Woo! That was like I enjoy eating that on a regular basis.
Okay. What are the highlights of your stay so far?
Okay. I would say one of the highlights of my stay here was going to Morogoro, which is like 4 or 5 hours outside of Dar es Salaam. Whew, I went there and because it had been recommended to me, because I like to be like in nature. And I mean, nature is everywhere here, let's be clear, but in Dar, this is like more of a city, and I wanted to go somewhere else that wasn't so city, because I think eventually that I would like to move outside of the city to somewhere that's a little bit more quiet. So Morogoro, and I told this story on my channel too, like in a video called like The Magic in Tanzania or something like that. But when I got there, with the tour guide who took me there, we like rode bodas halfway up the mountain, and then like because there's mountains in Morogoro. We got off the mountain and then like climbed down, and swam in this waterfall, and then the boda drivers came and picked us back up. We went back up the mountain. We got off the bodas. We were like picking fruit, eating fruit. There was like this Rastafarian man that lived in a cave on the mountain who was like giving us fruit, and we were like hanging out with him on the side of the mountain. It was just like, I never had that kind of experience before in my life. And that was definitely a highlight because it was just so beautiful. And all the people that we met up the mountain and coming back down the mountain were just so hospitable, so amazing, and just so nice. It really felt for me, it really just felt magical. So that was definitely the highlights so far.
All right. Now let's talk about the visa. What are the visa requirements? Do you know if currently people need to have some vaccinations? Do they still need the COVID test before they land? Yeah.
Yeah. So from the people that I've spoken with who've gotten here recently, it's like a mixed bag. So what I know about the visa, because I can say that for sure, is that you get a 1 year long, as a tourist, you get a 1 year long multi-entry visa, which means that you can go in and out of the country like as many times as you want within that year. However, you do have to leave the country every 90 days, and that's on a tourist visa. So for someone who wants to stay here long term, you definitely need to research and look into other types of visas that will allow you to stay here a bit longer if you're not, balling out here in the streets. Because to keep going out of the country every 90 days and finding a hotel or however you want to do it can get expensive. But that is like the visa requirement for tourists as of right now. Now, regarding the COVID test, I didn't have to take one at the time that I came. But from what I know, you do have to have one now, I believe. But see, why I say it's mixed, because I've met some people who did not take it, and I've met some people who have taken it. But from the last bit of research that I've done, you do need a COVID test right now to enter, is what I've last heard. However, I haven't been researching it because I'm already here. So I would advise anybody who's planning to come to do their own research and to connect with people who like just got here yesterday in order to find out what the latest requirements are, because I don't want to sit here and lie to you when I don't really know.
Okay. I think there is a requirement, but I don't know if it's for everybody. But I know as a Kenyan, for me to visit Tanzania right now, I must have a COVID test. I think it's 72 or 48 hours before my travel there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for sure. And when you moved to Tanzania, did you have to ship your items?
No. Before I moved here, I pretty much sold almost everything that I owned. I sold my car. I sold a whole lot of clothes because my thinking was like, everything that I need in order to live, I can buy it in Tanzania, and I actually rather buy it there because I think a big part of us coming here for the African Americans and whoever else decides to move here is that we have to contribute to the economy here and to the people here, right? Because not this is like a hustle culture. So my thing was like, if I sell most things, let me just get some basics. And then when I'm there, I can buy everything from Tanzanian people to make sure that I'm putting money in their pocket. It's like I'm here, be able to live on the land, so I got to give back to the land and the people. So I sold like everything, and I came here with like some books, a clothes to last for like a week, 2 pair of shoes, and some earrings, and like my makeup. Like this is the only lipstick that I have, and I used to have like so many like different lipsticks, but I got rid of a lot of things, so I didn't have to have a lot of bags, and so that I could just start over here, like really.
Oh, okay. So now let's talk about finances.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Money. Well, talking about finances, are you looking forward to building your credit so that you can have finances to invest or, relocate to the continent? www.creditbuildingmasterclass.com is the place to go. And if you're watching this video, you can access that book free of charge. Just click on the link in the pinned comment as well as in the description box, and you are able to access that book free of charge. All right, let's do this. Out in the beach every day. So tell us, how much money do we need to also have a good life, or African diaspora who are coming to Tanzania? How much money do they need to have so that they can really live comfortably in Dar es Salaam?
Yeah, I would say that's different for everybody based on what kind of experience that you want to have here. Because, the rent prices range based on what your taste is, right? So if you're coming here to start off, what I thought for myself, I was like, okay, if I need to have at least like $5,000 to make sure that I'm good for a while. Period. That's what I thought, and that's what I researched when I was watching videos trying to figure out for myself how much I needed. I kept like hearing this number over and over, like $5,000, $5,000. But to sort of like break down some of the prices, when I first got here, I was staying in Airbnbs, and the Airbnbs that I stayed in mostly would be like I rented like rooms in a house. So there were like other tourists in other rooms in these houses, and I would pay about $15 US per night. And then there were some that ranged from like $15 to $35 on the high end. And I just want to be clear that these prices are like COVID prices, because a lot of these Airbnbs actually charge way more than this. But because tourism was a bit low and still is a bit low, the prices are a bit lower at this time right now because there are not so many people who are traveling. So that gives you an idea about how much you could spend per day for just an Airbnb until you find a place. And by the way, finding an apartment is going to end up being much cheaper than paying for Airbnbs every night. For food, it depends on if you want to eat out. I mentioned this before on my channel too. Like if you're going to be going to expensive neighborhoods like Masaki and Oyster Bay and eating out in the restaurants that cater to tourists, then you're going to be spending probably like $20, $30 US per meal. However, something that I do is I just walk down the street. Well, not I don't live on a paved road. I walk down the road to the markets and I buy all my fruits and vegetables there. And I usually only spend, let's say if I go today and buy like enough to have meals for today and tomorrow, I would end up spending less than $10 US. Okay. And that food might last me for like 3 days. And I buy like a big thing of rice, a big thing of beans, so that if I don't have anything, I still have food. Food is like going to be the cheapest thing if you are smart about it. But that's something that I did in the United States. As far as Ubers go, because mostly here you can take Uber if you want to like take a car or whatever, or if you want to take like a Bajaj or Boda Boda, which is what I ride mostly, which is a motorcycles, because I don't really like traffic. And if you ride the Boda Boda, number one, it's the cheapest method of transportation. And also, when there's traffic, you can just glide right through the traffic. So for me, when I take Boda Bodas most places, I will only end up spending about like 4,000 shilling. And that's if I'm going like way outside of my neighborhood. And let me see what that is, because I don't know off top. Let me see what that is. 1 second. Because you probably know better, huh? That's about $1. About $1.05. 4,000.
4,000 is about $2, I think.
Yeah, it's a little under $2 US. I just looked on the converter. She's right. So that's not really a lot of money. And depending on where you live, you might live in a neighborhood or might be staying in a neighborhood where everything is walkable, where you don't even need to take a Boda Boda or Uber or anything like that. So that's kind of a breakdown of the things that I pay for the most, as far as the Airbnb, the food, and then the transportation. And then, going to the beach is free. So if you're going to be going to the beach, or if you live near the beach, you can go to the beach every day and hang out at the beach. If you're not buying drinks or anything, it is absolutely free. So yeah, I would say, to be comfortable, I think that amount that I saw was accurate. I think if you have $5,000 plus a plan of how you're going to make money, or if you already have an online business, then then you don't have to worry at all. But I do think you need 5,000 and a plan, figure out how you're going to make money. That's something to decide before you get here. I think it's the best thing to do.
All right. So you said 5,000. So how much would someone spend monthly, keeping in mind all those things? What range would somebody spend monthly?
That's a good question. Let me do some quick calculations here. So we're going to be paying, let's say you do on the lower end, do like I was saying about a room for an Airbnb, $15 a night. That's going to be about $450 per month just for the Airbnb alone. If you eat modestly, like if you're not out here buying cocktails and champagnes and going out popping bottles, because I don't do that myself, then I think, like I said, and especially too, if you are a person who eats plant-based and you mostly eat fruits and vegetables, you can really spend less than $100 a month on food easily, easily. And then for Uber, let's say if you go somewhere every day, somewhere and back, somewhere that's not too far. So if you live central and you're hanging out, going to one place per day and then back home, that would end up being about $4 a day. So that's $120. So let's just round up 500, 100 for food, and then 100 for transportation. That would be about $700. And I would say that's even on the higher end, because you can find things that are cheaper. You can find housing that is cheaper by connecting with the right people and finding the right network. And yeah, if you find the right place to live in, because some of the Airbnbs I lived in, the people who were there cooked food for me and I didn't have to buy food at all. So I'm saying you just got to be nice to people, treat people well, and make sure that you're giving to people and they will give back to you. And you could get by on less than that $700 a month if you're smart and if you're good to people.
All right. So right now you moved out of the Airbnb and you are staying in an apartment. How big, let's say a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment or 1 bedroom apartment in your neighborhood will cost?
Yeah. Okay. So that's tricky, because my neighborhood is all different types of buildings, but I can give you a range. So in this neighborhood, you could spend, and this is, let me speak for all the apartments that I've seen. 'Cause I looked at a lot of apartments. I've seen a range of apartments. Now this is going to be like an apartment, like a typical apartment you might see in the United States. Something similar, like the Tanzanian version of that, something that has like air conditioning and maybe a balcony if it's on like a higher floor. That's going to be in a, and fully furnished will be about 500 US dollars a month or more. Or you can find some that are under, because I did see some furnished apartments in a neighborhood called Upanga that were like $350 a month that were furnished. So between $350 US dollars a month all the way up to 1,000 US dollars. And the 1,000, like on that end, I would say over 500 US, that's going to be something that's fully furnished with super nice furniture that has like a pool and balconies and other amenities. If you're going to be going 500 up, that's going to be like the luxury apartment. But I would say about $350 for something that's like pretty basic, and that's a 1 or 2 bedroom, because that's all that I looked at, being that I'm single. Yeah, so 350 up to like 1,000 US is something that is typical from all the apartments that I've seen.
Is that a fully furnished apartment?
These are all fully furnished. I've seen some too in this range that were not furnished. But what I'm saying is that if you don't want to buy your own furniture, you can find apartments within this range that are fully furnished. But you can find them without furniture as well. And usually, if you see a furnished apartment, and let's say you don't like the furniture but you love the apartment, you can definitely negotiate a lower price and ask them to take the furniture away if you don't want the furniture. That can help you get a cheaper price. Um, and right now, in general, if you're going to be coming right now during like Corona time, um, you can negotiate, like everything is negotiable, everything. So even those prices that I mentioned, you can negotiate to get something that's fair for you. And this is like, that's the culture here, period. Everything outside of food is negotiable. So yeah.
How long do you plan to stay in Tanzania, or is it for life? What's your plan?
My I'm gonna say what my hope is, because I try to keep my plans loose. I know what my hopes are, but I try to keep my plans loose because I know sometimes things change. And for me, when you have super strong and hard expectations, that's how you set yourself up for failure. But for me, I would like to stay here for the rest of my life. That's what I would like. However, I mentioned this to you when we were not on air. I am single. So if I happen to meet a man who wants to live in another country on this continent, maybe he's from another country, and I meet him here or whatever, I would be open then to moving outside of Tanzania. But my hope is that whoever, you know what I'm saying, I end up marrying, be they Tanzanian or another culture, that they want to live here in Tanzania because I love this country. Like I just do. So
What if the person you get to meet is in the diaspora?
oh, okay. If they're in the diaspora and they don't want to leave the United States or Europe or wherever they are, then they're not the person for me. Because I only want to live on this continent. So that wouldn't even be, we wouldn't even be compatible if they don't want to live in Africa for life and have kids here and raise kids here. Then we wouldn't even be compatible. Sorry, boo. If you're out there watching and you thought that I was gonna move to California or move to London with you, I'm sorry to break your heart, but no, you have to want to be here. That is, we're here for life. So
Oh, okay, great. What visa are you in yourself?
I'm on the tourist visa and also working towards creating businesses here. Because the tourist visa, these are the three options there we go. Three options that I was looking into outside of the tourist visa. So there's a tourist visa. There's a business like a residency permit that you can get if you are if you have a work permit, it would be easy to get residency here, and then also a student visa. So if you can find a way to take classes at an institution or get enrolled in some type of school, that visa will allow you to be in the country for 2 years. For 2 years. So those are two other options. But from my understanding regarding your question, you don't have to leave outside of East Africa. You just have to leave outside of Tanzania, and then you would be allowed to come back into the country. Now, again, I'm not sure on what the requirements are as of right now, but I know that when I first came, that there were people who were going to Kenya, staying for a few days and then traveling back into the country with no problem. So I don't know if that is still something that people are able to do on this particular day, but I know that's what was happening when I first got here.
Oh, okay. And do you know the price of the work permit, not work permit, the resident, like if you can get like a resident visa, do you know how much it costs?
What I know with how to get the resident permit through having the work permit. First of all, I know that to establish a business here, that's one of the most expensive routes to go. That's what I know. That it's going to cost you thousands of dollars in order to be able to do that, because they need to see that you got money in order to do business here. That is like the most expensive route to go. I do, and I believe for the student visa, there's like a couple of fees, because with that one, you have to go through your school and get the accurate paperwork. Then you also have to work with a lawyer who works with the government. So I don't know how much the lawyer fees. For some people, I know their lawyer fees have been anywhere from between 800 to 1,000 US dollars. And I know the government fee is somewhere between 250 and 300 US dollars. So all of these other areas of getting these other types of visas do require you to have a good chunk of change as well. So that's another thing that you need to be prepared for. If you are coming here and you don't want to do the 90 days and you want to do some other type of visa, you're gonna have to have that money saved up, and or have a way to generate income so that you're able to work towards getting those other types of visas.
Okay, awesome. So now, talking about visas and all that, now that relates to citizenship. So, do you look forward to getting the Tanzanian citizenship at a certain point? And do you know that in order to get the Tanzanian citizenship, you'll have to forfeit your US citizenship?
Yes, I am aware of that. So for me, I don't necessarily want to give that up, and that's mainly so that in case there's an emergency with my family, that I would have easier access to be able to get back into the country, to be able to handle any of that. So for me, I would like to obtain residency here, but at the moment, while the law is as it is, I'm not right now to this day, because this may change. This is the thing; it can change. I'm not interested in forfeiting the U.S. citizenship for that reason. Now, once my family, my sisters, my siblings, they get on board and they come here, then I'll give it up. It's a wrap. I would give it up. But until they come here, it is my hope that they, after them seeing me be here for a while and understanding how things are for me, and I communicate with them on a regular basis. Once they come here, then okay. But until then, I want to make sure that I'm able to get back to them in case there's ever any pressing emergency where I need to be there for my family.
All right, all right. So, any advice that you can give to Africa diaspora who would want to move to Tanzania? Also, while at it, you should also tell us, why do you think it's important for the Africa diaspora to visit or relocate to the continent?
Yeah. So, advice that I would give, I'm just gonna speak whatever comes to mind. I think one of the most important things is that you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. There are a lot of people who come and relocate and complain about things not being how they are in the United States. But it's like you're not in the United States no more. So if you're not in the United States, you really have to be flexible in your mindset know that things are different and adjust to the differences, adjust to and become at peace with the differences. That's just point blank, period. I would also say to keep in mind, what it is that you are leaving behind. When I go outside or when I go anywhere, I don't have to worry about someone coming into my home and mistreating me just because of the color of my skin. I don't have to worry about anything just because of the color of my skin. And in fact, I feel safer here. The men that are here, from the guards down the street to my brother that lives around the corner, everybody here is way more protective of women and children than what I experienced in the United States. So I would say to always keep that in mind, especially if you are a single woman that's coming here. Keep in mind the level of peace and the safety that you will feel here. So everything that is uncomfortable is like it's okay because there's so much more that you're gaining. So just maintain that flexibility. I say is key. And regarding why people should move here, or relocate here or visit here, I think that again that's another reason is safety, and really for the diasporan, something that we have to learn, that we can only learn from our African born brothers and sisters, is what it means to be family. Because here in Tanzania, everybody is kaka or dada, you know what I'm saying, brother or sister. And
Yeah.
that is how people relate to each other. And that's not how, we relate to each other outside of this continent. So I think it's important for us. I think that's just who we are naturally. So it's important for us to come here and to see the African born people as our teachers, because they just have so much to teach us, so much wealth that they have on the inside of them that we have never experienced. And I feel like that's our detriment. So I think that's the greatest reason to visit here and to relocate here, is to get back all the things that have been like stripped away from us and who we naturally are. When you come back here, you get that from the people who are here. You learn that from the people who are here. And that is gold, platinum, diamonds, that's what that is. That's platinum, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Tiffany, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Thank you for sharing all this. Maybe you can tell your final words before we finish the video.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your channel. You are a bomb interviewer, and it was fun to have this conversation with you. I would encourage everyone, since we talked about finances and how I'm making money, I would encourage you to go over to my channel and my website, which will, I think, be in the description box. And you can find ways there that you can support by purchasing books, courses, coaching sessions that I have if you need them. Check out the channel, vibe with me, and if you like it, support what I'm doing and what I'm creating. Thank you so much again for having me on.
All right, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching that amazing episode of the Returnee series. I hope you enjoyed it. It was very detailed. I hope you learned a lot. Go ahead, support our sister, check out her YouTube channel, subscribe. You know how we do it, okay? And like I always say, if you want to build your credit so that you can have finances to invest, relocate to the continent, don't forget www.creditbuildingmasterclass.com is the place to go. And until next time, Kwaheri.